40 years ago, Joe O'Herlihy entered our lives in the Arcadia Ballroom in Cork, in Southern Ireland. Then, he was but an apprentice wizard. Now, he is a grandmaster, an alchemist of the U2 sound. His bass frequencies have registered on the Richter scale in Brussels, Belgium. That is true. 1985. But his high end always has a little bit of down and dirty about it. And we love that. And tonight we want to just say how much you mean to us, how much you and Marion mean to us, and now having Sarah O'Herlihy running the show also means so much to us. We are a community, and no one has a better sense of that community than you, Joe O.
Hi there everyone, my name is Joe O'Herlihy. I'm the sound director for a very little known group called U2. Way back when, vivid memories of it, it was the Arcadia Ballroom in Cork City, 1978 that is. At the time it was like a typical scenario where you'd see support groups come and go and stuff like that, but Bono was very adamant that the two people and the dog in the hall basically paid attention to him, so that was the first signs really that of what was to come. There was this element of connectivity of, you know, we're up here guys and, you know, pay attention, you know. Breaking down the fourth wall, which is the vital ingredient of what the whole U2 journey has been all about. You know, tour to tour, year in, year out. We climbed that wall every single time, and it's just an extraordinary result. And, you know, being at front of the house, you see the people when they turn around to leave, you know, they're just beaming from ear to ear, you know. This tour has been a completely different sonic approach. The brief and scope from the band was that they would play on the arena floor. They would play with a main stage, with a runway stage, with an E stage, and as most people have seen, they play inside the screen as well. So from an audio perspective, we could not use the conventional method, which is like your main stage with a PA system left and right of that, because if the band are focused on playing on the E stage and the sound is coming from their position on the main stage, it's dislocation. And the focal point has always been about complete connectivity, so we have to have a distributed audio system, and this is the actual design configuration I came up with. Working with all of the other departments, you know, the size of the screen being 96 feet long by 22 feet tall and stuff like that, we ended up with the concept of putting the PA system up into the ceiling where you cannot see it, but the sound from it is omnipresent. We have pretty much an oval configuration where the speaker system is, there are 12 hangs, vertical arrays of speakers in columns, and what that does is that it gives us a very good distributed audio system, and that covers the entire arena all the way around from the front to the back, left and right. That tracks the entire building, so no matter where you are, you get the perfect image in stereo. It's an absolutely new innovation, to be perfectly honest. When I developed the sound design for this, I had never thought about where we would put front of house, because it doesn't matter where you go, you have the same sound, because the sound is achieved in an omnipresent manner. So my front of house is up with the people, with the fans, which is fantastic because you see the immediate reaction from people, and it's fantastic to be there, to be that close. And at the same time, you know, people tell you if they like it, and they certainly tell you if they don't like it. The new songs have been extremely challenging from the onset of all of this. You know, I find that they develop their own character as we go, as the tour has progressed. And now they're songs that sit equally as well with all of the entire back catalogue and the integration in the story that's been told. And across the entire tour, these songs have developed their own characteristic U2 stamp on them that's developed even further from the studio version. I love songs like Bullet to Blue Sky because that takes me back to my sort of guitar, bass and drum, you know, my pedigree as such, going back to Rory Gallagher days. It's just when Edge is like you know, it's Jimi Hendrix, it's all of that. And it just gives me a shiver every time, you know. The home audiences, you know, we've been waiting for this for the last 9 months, and it's just been incredible. Coming into Belfast was fantastic. I mean, being back in the homeland, as I say, and you could see that, you know, U2 in Ireland is just such an incredible thing. The Dublin shows, you know, we're on our last night tonight, and they've just been wonderful. You know, when you get the fan from next door hollering abuse at you, which is what it's all about in your homeland. The show on Tuesday night here in Dublin was like, the hair on the back of my neck was like standing on end, you know, and that shiver, I mean, 40 years on, is the same as it was first day.
The sound in the Sphere is absolutely phenomenal, and I'll have to take you back to the initial stages of when we started thinking about this. And I remember vividly being at home in Dublin, and Bono called me up and basically said that he'd been speaking to Peter Shapiro of Brooklyn Bowl fame, and that he in turn had been speaking with Jim Dolan about the Sphere, and that was like August 21, as I said. And Bono said to me, it's a German song company called Holoplot. Do you know anything about it? And I said, yeah, it's a new design concept that's basically just brand new, that's just been initiated specifically for the Sphere. He said, why don't you go over to Berlin, check it out and see if you can break it. And in true typical conversation, that has been my brief from year dot. And to be perfectly honest, I tried my level best and I couldn't break it. But I did go to Leipzig, the Congress Messe in Leipzig, where there was an exhibition of the sound system. The first time they put together like 160 of these boxes, and they were having industry types like myself come and have a listen. I mean, I was scheduled to go there for like just a brief kind of demo, and I was so enthused by the whole thing and so blown away with what I heard, I actually stayed for the week. And I mean, I did come prepared because I really wanted to put it through its paces so that I could report back to Bono and Edge and tell them, you know, realistically if this was a runner or not. So I brought my multi-track recordings from the Joshua Tree tour that we finished in Mumbai in December 19. And I brought like multi-tracks from different environments of recording in the context of an outdoor stadium, in like the Sydney Cricket Ground. We also played in an indoor dome in Seoul in Korea. So I had an idea of the sonic value of all of those. We also played the biggest arena in the world, which is the Philippines arena in Manila, which is 55,000 capacity indoor arena, the biggest in the world. So I had that. And we also, I also brought with me the recording that I had from Singapore National Stadium, which has a roof that opens and closes. So it gave me a different environmental acoustic again to try all of that. And to be honest, they were very patient with me. They allowed me to do everything I needed to do and wanted to do. I mean, I ran extremely loud and extremely hard, and every aspect that I could try to basically, in the first context, to see if I could break it or not, or if I would stand up for it. And I mean, the sub bass and all of that energy and everything was second to none, which is something that when Adam steps on the Taurus pedals, it's like a low end heaven. When you deliver it at full pelt, it's got an incredible wow factor, and that coupled with his like really resurgent bass lines and stuff like that, it was important for me to know that the system would stand up to it and be good enough to basically deliver on a level that was acceptable in the context of U2. You have to take into consideration, this system was brand new. It had never been used in any venue, in any facility, anywhere. And so it was a big chance to take, one would think. But like things like the vocal intelligibility of Bono's vocal on my playback tracks, it was like as if he was singing into the palm of your hand right there. And you'll feel that up close and personal feel about the whole thing. That was amazing. All of the treatments and effects that I would use, like on the drum kit, sometimes on the keyboard orchestration and all of that, the reverbs and stuff like that, I was able to spread them out and listen to them in a way that was very different from the norm. So coming out of that. That week in Leipzig, I mean, I wrote Bono and Edge, and I opened my opening line on it like, this is going to be quite a biblical report because this is what happened. And 8 pages later, after explaining everything that I had been through, I mean, my parting shot on it was that you guys definitely have to be the first band into the sphere because this is the future. Absolutely, this is the future of audio. This has never ever been done before, and we're doing stuff that is uniquely associated with everything that U2 does in the context year in, year out, tour in, tour out. We've always pushed and pushed and pushed to make things better. So here's the first time that audio has stepped up to the plate and is in a situation where we're going to do something that's going to be like a first and foremost, and the future thereafter. Right across here is the proscenium PA system, which is the rock and roll part of the band sound system, is what I would call it, because it's like 30 feet above the stage, and you have, in a positional sense, it's called a proscenium PA system. Directly above that, about another 30 feet up, is the immersive sound system, which goes all the way to the sides, left and right, all the way across the actual front of the building as you look at it here. And then up behind us, and I reverse my role going all the way back here, we have the surround sound. Now, you ask what's so different and what's so incredible about that? First and foremost, I've lined up the audio so that Edge is positioned here, and I have, coming off the console, I've 32 speaker locations all over the entire room where I can send audio from any one channel. I can send it to 32 different locations. So what I've done, and what I refer to it as, is pictorial audio. So when you're looking at Edge on stage, directly above Edge in, let's say, columns 5 and 6 is the stereo mix of what Edge is playing, directly above his head. So when you see Edge, you hear Edge, and it's done in a way that it's, I mean, the only way I can describe it is pictorial audio. I mean, you see and hear it at the same time. Now that follows the building all the way up through the immersive system, all the way to the surround sound, all the way to the very back. And the same with Bono. Bono's in the middle. He's in like 7 and 8, so he goes all the way up here and all the way to the very back of the building as well. And Bram is the same. He's a 9 and 10. And follows all the way up here, and Adam then is in 11 and 12, and that goes all the way up here. To describe that, like in the proper sense, you would never have something like that in a conventional system, simply because a conventional system, the design configuration is left, right, and you have your sub bass, which is basically the center image. Now, when I was putting all of this together, and in the context of the 2 years it took us to basically do the acoustic mapping, make everything such to an extent that it would work firsthand here in the Sphere. At Ardmore Studios in Dublin, at our rehearsal, I set up a mock-up system of what the specification for the Sphere was. So I was working under a grid that had 32 speakers around, so I was able to put sounds in various different speakers to see how they worked in the context of when the band are performing. You need the rock and roll part of the band to be right here, so that you get the punch, you get the energy, you get everything that's required in that sense. And then when Edge goes into, when he creates the Edge Orchestra per se, he will go into using effects like the shimmer and orchestrations with echoes and treatments and stuff like that. We put that up into the immersive system, and we can basically then, through the technology that's part of the building, we can move it left or we can move it right. So it could start over here and then move right the way across the room to the other side of the room.
So you do like a solo? Or?
And that could be a solo, it could be the shimmer coming in to basically broaden the actual choral aspect of the chord sequence that he's playing, or something like that. So it enhances it in a way that it's quite extraordinary, because when you make it move, there is a wow factor, because you can see people following it, and they're actually moving their heads and stuff like that. Even though every seat in the house has the perfect stereo image, when you get effects and treatments like that, it does create a wow sensation. Like there's a couple of songs where we use that, for instance, in The Fly, when you look at the show and in the context of the visuals for The Fly, there's all the numbers that are on the screen, and the screen comes down from the very top. So when Edge's guitar solo comes in, it follows the screen coming down. So the guitar solo comes down from on high, from above, and it not only is it wow in the context of the screen that you're visually seeing, but there's a wow in the audio aspect of it, because it creates that it connects with that imagery, and it creates that whole sense of the guitar coming down from on high.
Yeah, amazing.
And we have other ones as well, where when Terry World comes in and stuff like that, we have a lot of the orchestration and stuff like that, where we move stuff so that it has an orchestration like strings and stuff like that. It gives the perspective that it's slow, but there's movement. For instance, a song like Where the Streets Have No Name, the keyboard pad for that starts up in the surround system, and it starts to move across the top of the building, like from left to right in the surround. Then that follows down through the immersive system, down into the proscenium system, down to the stage to join Edge's guitar intro, and the connectivity there is it's absolutely amazing. You can absolutely feel it, yeah. Well, I mean, I started out 73 to 78 with Rory Gallagher, and that was an education in itself. And you know, everything I know probably was learned in that period of time. And the thing about U2 is that like everything is so different, constantly changing and changing and changing. I mean, different in a way that it's, you know, we develop and develop and develop and develop. So it is, you're never left kind of twiddling your thumbs as such, really, because there's no time for that, you know. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I did 3 tours with REM, which was really great. I also did 3 tours with the Cranberries, and Dolores when she did Dolores O'Riordan when she did a solo tour as well. So in the context of the, that though they happened in downtime, as in the band were in the studio making a record. I mean, I was involved in all of that up until, and I suppose it's quite unique really, up until the Joshua Tree, up until the Octung Baby album, which Bono says that I annoyed him so much every day when I came into Handsatan Studios saying, "Octung Baby, I got the plan." So he said to me, "You're going to suffer." And I'm going to call the album after that. And I've been suffering ever since.